And dozens of ex-ministers and businessmen in Saudi Arabia over the previous days was launched by decrees from 32-year-old heir to the throne, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It solidifies his power as he enters the world stage to a greater degree. And it's just the start. This palace purge has investors reacting, and we're seeing it in the oil markets. But other foreign investors are eyeing the change with optimism. Sam Zell, the chairman of Equity Group Investments, a real estate firm, says he is more likely to pour money into new projects there. He said of the arrests that they were long overdue for a country resistant to modernization and plagued by graft. I want to bring in Gerald Celente, founder of the Trends Research Institute, to dig deeper on what we're seeing coming out of Saudi Arabia. Let's start with your political take on this purge. Those are establishment and status quo pillars of the country. On top of that, we know the Saudi military intercepted a ballistic missile near Riyadh fired by Houthi fighters in Yemen. The Crown Prince calls it an act of aggression by Iran. And then you've got that questionable helicopter crash killing one prince and 3 government officials. What's your reaction to all of this breaking out in just the last few days?
Well, tracking trends is an understanding of where we are, how we got here, and where we're going. And how we got here, you could see this coming for a long time, and we've been speaking about it for a long time. This is a buildup, as we see it, with a war with Iran. And the Crown Prince, you know how people become princes, a princess kisses a frog and the guy becomes a prince. I mean, enough with these labels, really. I mean, this is a gang that's running the show. And what happened is his father is very ill from a lot of reports. And this guy at 30 years old, let us not forget, launched a war against Yemen, the poorest nation in the Middle East, killed over 10,000 people, a great humanitarian crisis, a cholera epidemic, and this isn't in the news at all. This guy launched it. What he's doing is solidifying power to get rid of everybody else as his father's getting closer to the deathbed from a lot of reports that are coming in. So it's very disturbing in the sense that anybody would support this considering their track record, but I guess for Zell it's a good investment opportunity.
Yeah, but let's look at the modernization. He's given women more rights. He's opening up the country. He's obviously from a younger generation, and he's cleaning house. I mean, is there anything redeemable in these actions?
Well, yeah, I mean, what are they letting women allow? They're allowing them to drive.
Well, but that's something they fought for a long time. At least it's something. Don't you think it's a symptom of future modernization?
I think it's a symptom of some modernization, but not that much. Again, let's look at the track record, and let's look what he said last May, the Crown Prince, is that we won't wait for the battle with Iran to be in Saudi Arabia. Instead, they are going to take the battle to Iran. I mean, this is what he's talking about last May. And so what we're looking at is a build-up to war. They're accusing Lebanon and Iran of declaring war against Saudi Arabia. Nobody declared war. So what we're seeing is this is much bigger. We also saw the prince. Also, there's reports that he's been in Israel. And Israel's been very anti-Iran, as we all know. You remember Netanyahu with the UN.
Well, there's an existential argument happening there as well. These are strong words from both sides, but Iran has said, we want to annihilate Israel.
They said that Israel has the right to exist because, again, for a lot of people that say it doesn't, in the sense that who created this and when was it created and what's happened to the Palestinians in this whole deal.
But that's also a separate argument. But okay, let's keep going.
These words, not actions.
Right. Okay. Obviously very, very drastic. A lot of people have a lot of questions. It's a lot to unfold in just days. And we have seen the change in oil. We have not seen a spike like this since June 2015. Brent crude has closed yesterday at above $64 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate settled at over $57. What does this mean going forward, in your opinion? If you could read the tea leaves and look forward to this, investors are eyeing this with a lot of questions.
Let's look at Saudi Arabia. Go back when oil started going down. in 2014. Their plan was to keep pumping more, and they would put the frackers out of business. That didn't work, so now what they've done, they made an agreement with other OPEC members in Russia to cut back on production. Now what this has done is really jacked up the prices because of the fear that's going on there. Also, their unrest in Iraq with Kurdistan. So now, or the Kurdistani region. So now what we're looking at is that oil prices could spike if this goes out of control. Saudi Arabia needs oil at $100 a barrel for their economy to break even. So they're way down. They're issuing bonds as well, as we know.
Right.
So now if we see this happening, this could end up also doing great damage to the equity markets. And in the United States, people, what, 78% of the people, according to studies, are living paycheck to paycheck? What's going to happen with the Christmas holiday and oil prices going up?
All right, let's talk about gas prices. What we see retail. AAA says gas prices jumped 6 cents last week, 31 cents over last year. Last week in California, 12-cent gas tax increase in California. Average prices, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio cover a spectrum from $2.60 to $2.72. Going into the holidays, what do you have to say about this?
Again, if this breaks out into war, and they're talking war talk, they're saying the countries are declaring war. And you're hearing President Trump also supporting both the prince and the king. So if this happens, we're going to see oil prices spike probably above $100 a barrel if this thing starts unfolding. And it will bring down the equity markets. And also, we're seeing retail already in the States. They're announcing Black Friday sales. This will put a big damper on Christmas sales.
Thank you so much for your